Welcome in, along with Neil Hornsby. I'm Cole Brown, talking about our Week 4 secret superstars in the NFL. Don't forget, if you want to find your own secret superstars, head over to ProFootballFocus.com. Check out Premium Stats 2.0. You will not be disappointed. Neil, remind our viewers how they qualify for this list.
Yeah, these are guys that you're probably not talking about, but you should be, under the radar type players.
With that being said, let's get started. Last week, we talked about Blake Martinez for the Packers, their inside linebacker. This week, our first guy listed on the offensive side of the ball, Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, many people think of as and could quite rightly be called the third string running back for the Green Bay Packers, so definitely a secret superstar. But there's something special about Aaron Jones. Every time you watch him run the ball, there's something about him that you know is different. It's the yards after contact, it's the tackles avoided, it's the way that he manages to find the right gap and always picks up a significant amount of yardage on each run. How good? Well, last year in our overall running back rankings, just for rushing alone, he ranked 5th, and this year he ranks 3rd. So, the question that probably everybody's asking is, why isn't he the number 1 running back? And the problem with Aaron has been mostly to do with his work in the passing game. It's become a little bit of a problem. Receiving last year, ran a ton of routes, wasn't hardly targeted. And then, more problematically, he had significant issues in pass protection. So that's the reason that he can't stay on the field on 3rd down, or they've been keeping him off the field on 3rd down. And that's the reason that he's the 3rd string. They really trust Jamal Williams and Ty Montgomery more in those 3rd down situations. Now, he's been coming on a little bit this year. He's done a bit better. He hasn't given up anything so far in pass protection, but the sample size, about 5 snaps, is not big. So let's keep our eye on him, because if he can up that part of his game, then he becomes he's the secret no longer.
Let's hope Aaron Jones keeps up his good play. Aaron Rodgers will certainly benefit from that strong run game. Moving on to our next guy, DJ Swearinger from the Washington Redskins. He didn't have too much great of play when he was with the Houston Texans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he's certainly come onto his own since he signed with the Redskins.
Yeah, there was a time that when we used to look and we used to track back, and the coverage busts in the Houston Texans, they always seem to end up with DJ Swearinger either being at the root of them or a part of them. No, that's exactly the case. So it wasn't really a surprise when they let him go after 2 years. He then went on and was picked up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, didn't play very much, didn't play very well. Overall, he was grading in the mid-50s across that period of time, and really the only surprise was that he was then picked up by the Arizona Cardinals in December. He did just enough really to get a contract for the next year, slightly over $1 million contract for the next year. And then he had a fantastic season for the Arizona Cardinals. Graded in early 80s, very good performance overall. That got him a contract with the Washington Redskins, and he really hasn't looked back since then. So last year, a 73 grade, which was pretty good for a start, and then this year he's up at 89.9. And what you like about DJ more than anyway, you know he's on the field, don't you? You know he's on the field. He's always there. He's a guy that's going to make mistakes from time to time, but he more than offsets those with his really positive plays, the way that he drives that defense. He's that high energy guy that's a fantastic bell cow for them on the back end of the the defense.
I know the Washington Redskins fans certainly hope to see that increase of play from DJ Swearinger. Our next guy on the list, a guy who looks like a great complement to AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals.
When Andy Dalton's at his best? When was Andy Dalton at his best? When he's got a great surrounding cast about him. So his best year came when he had AJ Green, when he had Marvin Jones, when he had Mohamed Sanu, when he had Tyler Eifert. When Marvin Jones went to Detroit, when Mohamed Sanu went to Atlanta in free agency, it was really important for the Bengals to pick up that complementary receiver, that Mohamed Sanu replacement, somebody who's going to be able to play the slot, somebody who's going to be able to run those underneath routes and pick up a whole host of first downs. for the first 2 years, he really wasn't as advertised. Or maybe he was as advertised, because what the rep on him coming out of Pittsburgh was, he was a sort of productive guy, but he was productive at a college level and he really wasn't that explosive. So there was a number of people thinking in the draft he was overdrafted because he's not going to be able to play at that level. But what do we know from our grades? We know that production at the college level generally equals production at the NFL level. And although it's been a little time coming, the third year seems to be a charm at the moment because he's been outstanding. And the game last week against Atlanta, of all teams, with Mohamed Sanu on the other side of the field, absolutely fantastic. So far this year, 2.33 yards per route run. That's a whole yard more than he was getting previously in his first 2 years. He's been sensational this year, and if he can continue that, I think that's a big reason for Andy Dalton's improvement.
Yeah, I saw Tyler Boyd play in person against the Ravens a few weeks back, and he did look fantastic, and I certainly see his progression take place. Our next guy on the list, Genard Avery, edge for the Cleveland Browns. Week 1, he had a very strong grade, 90.0 overall grade. But since then, he's kind of taken a little bit of a step back. Why did you decide to put him on this list?
Okay, so it's really interesting because he was a really interesting player coming out of Memphis. He would, in the same game, rotate between outside linebacker and inside linebacker in the same game.
Wow.
That was what he did. So we knew he was really, really productive as a pass rusher. He's 91 pressures in the last 2 years of his college career. If you lined up every other FBS player along those, along that time scale, he was 12th. That's 12. That's a lot of really good players. That's significant production, particularly for a guy who's also playing inside linebacker. So you know he's got talent, but you're just not sure how he's going to project at the next level. Is he going to be a Sam linebacker? Is he going to be an edge rusher? Is he going to be an inside linebacker? Yeah. What's he going to play? What's he going to do? So a number of people, including us, had probably some issues as to where we were going to box him from a draft standpoint because of what positions he's going to play. At the end of the day, more than anything else, the Cleveland Browns have left him as sort of like a stand-up left outside linebacker on about 75% of snaps. They've got him rushing the passer. Yes, he has played a few snaps, at inside linebacker, but it's been very marginal. But more than anything else, what he's done is he's got pressure. He got pressure in the first game, he's got pressure in the second. He's got pressure all the way through. Now, it's declined slightly, but at this stage, over the course of the first 4 games of the season, he's still ranked 8th overall amongst edge rushers. So in pass rush grades. So that, for a 5th round draft pick, that's fantastic. So there's 2 ways to go. He could continue to decline, he could stay static, which would be perfect, or even better, he could he could improve. So I think it's a good time to highlight him. Let's see where the career of Genard Avery goes from here.
Absolutely, and I'm moving on to our last guy on the list, Connor McGovern, right guard for the Denver Broncos. You stated that he's kind of in that exploding period, so what have you seen so far from him?
Well, yeah, because sometimes players creep up on, why is he on this list and where do players come from, where do superstar players come from? Some of them creep up on you, some of them get better year on year, some of them all of a sudden just explode out and without any indication whatsoever. So McGovern last year did really nothing, came on towards the end of the season, played a few games, and looked a little bit out of his depth, if I'm honest, playing for the Denver Broncos. This year, when I say he's just exploded out of the gate. He's had really 4 good games back to back, and he's just got he's almost feels like he's got better in each game. Yeah. Now, his pass protection isn't ideal yet. And the grade, he is our number 1 graded guard. Never mind right guard, number 1 graded guard above Roger Saffold and Zach Martin and all those guys. And that's been earned. And it's been earned by some superior run blocking. What we've seen is him opening holes for Royce Freeman and Philip Lindsay. And the question is, I suppose that everybody's asking is this just a blip?
Yeah.
And is he then going to, tail down? Are people going to suss him out? Or is this actually just the start of a player who has got it, who's got the trick of it, and who's just going to move on from here going forwards? It's a little bit like the guy playing to the left of him, Matt Paradis, who did the same thing and who's become one of the better centres in the league. So let's see where Conor McGovern goes from here, but for now, he's our PFF's #1 rated guard.
And like you said, certainly the passing game and the running game is benefiting from his improved play. Well, there you have it, our Week 4 Secret Superstars in the NFL. Make sure to like this video as well as subscribe to our channel for future videos. And we'll see you next week for our Week 5 Secret Superstars in the NFL.